Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. It's nice to see you.
Thanks, you too. I am on a lunch break from work, so I'm you might see me wandering around trying to get food together and stuff.
Oh, that's fine. These meetings are just like, for you to do what you got to do. And I'm so excited that you joined us again. So no worries. Eat all you need to eat, drink, get full, be happy. Hello, Miss Jessie. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome. I'm just giving some time for people to kind of just linger in.
Okay, I'm gonna go on mute. I'm getting ready for my next appointment.
Okay.
So Carol, is it that we have a meeting at 11 o'clock with staff and then 12 o'clock with everybody?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I know now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I guess I also missed that. I've been very confused. Sorry
No,
about that.
it's okay. I've been confused as well. So I think it's finally worked out. In my calendar, it was overlapping, and so I had to fix that, and it's fixed. It's fixed. And you should have gotten a notice, so hopefully that's all gonna work out just fine. And I thought that today we could just give some updates on your end, around your projects and stuff. And then we'll just join both of those today as opposed to doing another additional meeting. And I don't know if Emma's coming today or not. I was hoping that she would be here as well. Actually, let me see, I'm gonna text her really quick. Yeah, I sent out a reminder. I don't know if folks got that email, but I love your photo, Carolyn.
I am home today, so forgive the no picture. It is that time of the moon.
Oh yeah, it is for sure. Okay, so she is actually in a summit training all day, so she won't be attending. All right, well, let's just get started. It's 12:04, and if people just trickle in, they trickle in, which sometimes tends to happen. I just wanted to give a couple of updates about what's been going on in the past week, couple weeks. So we finally got our calendar scheduling up and running. And I'll let Miss Jessie give like a more detailed breakout of that. And that's really exciting. So our goal is to launch the site usage, space usage at the Holly House the first week of October. And also to launch the coffee hours October 8th, I think it is. It's that first Friday. So I'm still waiting to hear back from folks and hoping that I can get the scheduling up and running for every Friday to like interview somebody and have those be recorded, which would be really cool. The other update, so I've decided that I'm gonna actually probably come in November, and I think that I'm gonna end up spending most of the month there as opposed to just coming for like a week. I think it'll just be easier for me to actually be on site and do the stuff I need to do if I stay a little bit longer. And so I'm in the process of right now researching, JJ and I are working on like researching fit and size, what can fit into the spare room so that I can stay there while I'm there. And then that's pretty much the update about that. The other update is that I'm putting together a press release to really kind of announce BIPOC Stack and also our emerging programming and our ordering / purchasing of a tiny house. And I kind of wanted to get you guys' brainstorm around how to present that, because we don't necessarily have a date yet for when they're actually going to be here, but it'd be nice to do like a community event around that. And so I was thinking that we could maybe shoot for like the middle of November or something. Because they should definitely be here at least by the second week of November. If not the third week. And then we could do like a community event around the actual tiny space. Hopefully it's not raining. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but it would be cool to do some kind of event around that. So I'm putting together a press release, and what I was going to do is I'm going to shoot that to Miss Jessie and just kind of get your feedback on that around editing and stuff to make sure that it looks good. And then I thought I'd send it out the first week of October to all the press and media releases and all of our contacts on our contact list. That's the other update I have. And then let's see, what else do I have? I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about scheduling with JJ and everybody else. So we'll do that when JJ does his update. We'll talk about scheduling, because that's going to be a really big piece, just because we're about to launch the actual. Hi, Nick. Is it possible? Can you turn your mic off? Thank you. So we'll do the scheduling when we talk about scheduling. We'll do that when JJ gives his update around what's going on at the Holly House and that kind of stuff. That'd be great. And then let's see. I think those are my biggest pieces, unless folks have questions around other stuff that's been going on and all that great stuff. So if we could maybe just go around, because there's folks here today that haven't met other folks. If we could go around and just kind of say your name, who you are, how you're connected to this project, and maybe give like one value that you have around tiny houses, like why this is of interest to you. Who would like to start, or do I need to call names?
I'll go.
Awesome. I'm going to turn my mic off.
I'm Katrina. I'm in Northeast Seattle. I'm a poet, and I value tiny houses, particularly for the opportunities for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you, Katrina.
Okay, it's Jessie. I am the program manager for Holly House, and we're doing value, right? A value? Okay, so a value I hold is
a value around tiny houses specifically.
Oh, value around tiny houses. I don't know. Hey, don't mind me. I'm not sure what the value means around tiny houses, but I will say that I know that it's necessary to find alternatives in housing for our folks. And that's why I believe in the tiny house project. And when I talk to my friends about it, they're excited. So that means I'm at the right place, doing the right thing. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Miss Jessie.
I'm JJ, the site management consultant, and I stay at the Holly House. Also work with Carolyn. Let's see, a value, tiny houses. I just like the sustainability of it, and that we can put these basically anywhere and really house a lot of people. And also would like to get a tiny house myself. But yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome to know, because I guess we haven't had that conversation, JJ. And so that means I need to get you up on the sponsor page, because we have a sponsor page where, and Katrina, I need to get you up there too. So in order to do that, and we can do this not in this meeting, but I will need just like a little bio about you guys to put up there on the webpage. So you can email me just like a small paragraph, you know, what kind of artist you are, what you're interested in. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, JJ.
Yep.
That would be either Nick or Carolyn would be next.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I can go. My name's Nick Welch. I work for the city. I'm in the Office of Planning and Community Development. I've I apologize for the mask. I'm in the office today. And I am managing the current grant that Carol and the team have from the Equitable Development Initiative. And I've also I work in our land use policy team. I've worked on our backyard cottage policies in recent years. So I really love tiny homes and those types of housing. I think, especially in this case, what I get excited about is the opportunity for those to be created by regular folks as opposed to sort of the large scale type of development that, you know, big institutional developers create, which is also important, but this is something different, and it creates home ownership opportunities for folks that might otherwise not have it, or at least it has the potential to do that if we do it right. So it's nice to meet some new faces here. Thanks for including me in the meeting.
Thanks, Nick. And you missed the part about, so Em won't be here today. She's in an all-day training. And that would be Carolyn.
All right,
Is
that's
that-
me. Hey everyone, I'm Carolyn. I'm the current artist in residence, or not really in residence, but I'm there helping get the residence up and running. And I'm super into the idea of tiny homes and all sorts of alternate paths to ownership outside of the current system, and the legacy and the security and the safety that home ownership and having something of your own provides folks. So I'm here to help with that in any way that I can.
Thank you, Carolyn. Awesome. So if we could go around and do a program update, that'd be great. Just around like the stuff that you're working on, that would be JJ, Miss Jessie. Carolyn, you can give an update if you'd like to, but I know that you and JJ are working very closely around getting like the floor and stuff leveled and all that stuff. So it'd be great if one of you could give an update, and then at the end of your update, we can talk a little bit about scheduling stuff. That'd be awesome. So whoever wants to go first, just jump right in.
Okay, JJ, I'm at the Holly House. Currently we're working on leveling one of the floors in the back rooms. Got a couple other things hooked up, a projector screen, and working on getting these doorways and sanded, and hopefully seeing what kind of paint is left over so we can finish painting whatever needs to be left and whatever paint we need to go get. But other than that, yeah, just working on those things and trying to get that done.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then
Oh, go ahead, Carolyn.
Oh yeah, just real quick. Yeah, we've got the leveling. We've got probably another day to attend to that again, and then we're probably going to work next on getting this deck. Just a quick get a sand and seal on the deck before the rains really come in. That's our real current plans on the next couple of weeks.
Get unmuted. Okay, sorry, I had to unmute myself. That sounds awesome. And then I remember that we had a get together meeting a couple weeks ago, and I vaguely remember you saying something about acquiring some deck patio furniture. Is that happening, or did that happen, or am I on the wrong track with that?
No, we
right?
almost did, but when I went to go retrieve it, she had already gotten rid of it. So I was just like a moment too slow on that. We got one chair. There's one new chair, or one chair.
Okay, cool. I'll put that on the wish list.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, well, with that said, since we're talking about JJ, what I also wanted to throw out there is I want to actually talk a little bit about scheduling now that we're going to actually launch our site usage stuff the first week of October. one of the conversations that I had with Jesse was just around his schedule and making sure, because part of this project is not only about building like sustainable tiny houses, but it's also about work-life balance and building business models that are sustainable and making sure that folks are not overworked, overtaxed, and underappreciated. And so JJ and I had a really long conversation just about what would this look like? How could this happen? And what will we need from the team to tag each other to make the schedule work? And so some of the ideas that came out had a lot to do with making sure that JJ has 2 straight days off in a row. He is actually going to put together a plan in terms of what holidays he wants to have off and what would be doable for him. And then we're going to have a conversation about that in a couple of weeks. But we also want to talk about, one of the things that came up was like our membership hours and what would that look like? Would they be, 11 to 4, 3 to 5, I don't know, 6 to 8, or who would cover actual membership hours and versus the difference between when people actually schedule and use the actual event space for like retreats or office meetings or things like that. And so I just kind of want to throw that out there and get you guys' feedback around any of that, and what hours do you think are doable or seem reasonable to be open, like to community / members, and stuff like that. Yeah.
So this is Miss Jessie. Right now, I had just put down, because part of my responsibility was creating the calendar. So I had put down 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. For sure, I don't think anybody should be there after 8 p.m. Definitely nobody should be there after 8 p.m. Just respectively business hours. And we also talked about the work-life balance. So definitely people should be out by 8 p.m. But it could be, less than that. I think that if the space being a place for people to use it to work or to meet, 8 a.m. is a good time to be open. So that was just my suggestion. I think the weekends shouldn't be open that late, that it probably should be shut down earlier. And that's just my suggestions. That's it.
Other suggestions or ideas?
I don't know. I actually feel like, this is Carolyn. I actually feel like that's a lot of hours, especially with JJ being the only one really there right now. I think if there was a sort of, a buildup of sort of like community responsibility, and like, because 8 o'clock is early for a lot of people. I don't know that JJ's up at 8 o'clock every morning, and that then makes it a 7-day-a-week job. You know what I mean? And I think for a community space like that, honestly, I think 10 to 4 is a reasonable time. It's not too late. If he's the only one around, 5, that's if it's open 5 days a week. You know what I mean? Like, and if there are 2 days off, there's got to be people that can come and be there for those hours. But 8 to 8 is a 12-hour shift. And that's a lot to expect anybody to have to stay home and be available to community. In my opinion, if there was more people to handle those hours, and maybe over time that can be the case. But I know it's down south for me, and it's not reasonable for me. So I think being a little more sensitive to what's reasonable really right now with JJ as the only person they're able to hold hours at the house. I think being really a little more considerate and not so many, like a 12-hour expectation is a lot in a day. That's my opinion.
I totally get that as well. Totally get that. I just wasn't thinking that, do we have to have somebody there the whole time? So that was just mine, because I totally get you, Carolyn, on that. I would not want someone to have to be tethered down for those hours. So I agree with you on that one.
I think if we had like if there were trusted partners that were willing, I don't think the house should be open to just anybody coming through without somebody being there. I just don't think that I don't think that's true community safety for the house or whatever, especially with knowledge. You know what I mean? I think
Because then we would have to set up systems of like locking things and keeping things in certain areas and all that stuff
Yeah.
for all that to happen.
But I mean, I do think if there becomes, you know, in the membership model, if there's, you know, volunteers that like, hey, I want to hold office hours, you know, from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock for myself, you know, and have, you know, I'm willing to sit there a couple of hours, these couple of days, you know, and you can put the key in one of those boxes with the code. You know what I mean? That's a possibility. If those members become, you know, like want to hold volunteer hours, and maybe that's something around, you know, the language in membership
Yeah.
that you can find out.
Yeah, I can think about that. So thinking about like in creating the membership model right now, I've created the calendar in 2-hour increments. So if members want to book space time, they can book it in 2-hour increments, or if it's a special event or a meeting of a group, they can do more hours. But maybe we can make it if an individual member wants more than those 2 hours time, they could maybe volunteer for like, you know, if you know, like a volunteer, you know, the house, you know, the volunteer, I don't know, house mother, I don't know, house father, you know, during those times, if you get additional hours, then we normally allow that. You also have the responsibility of, you know, making sure that everybody's, you know, safe and well or whatever. I don't know.
Question: Are all memberships paid? Are those volunteer hours available to possibly people, you know, that aren't able to pay to be members? You know, like, could you possibly like earn your membership by holding office hours once a week? Do you know what I mean? Like maybe you come in and hold a 10 to 4, you know, or maybe those are weekend hours that people could hold in exchange, you know, because there's also, you know, membership and we understand that everything costs money, but there are a lot of people that need this service, that need this opportunity, that don't have any, you know, additional to offer this, which is why they need this in the first place. So possibly, you know, like that's, and there should be a, you know, a bit of a sort of like agreement, you know, like anybody that's going to be given, you know, like hang out in the house all day, have the key, be responsible for opening and closing, you know, that's a little responsibility there. And that's some sweat equity that people should be able to put in towards it that can't monetarily afford it.
I just want to acknowledge that Barry has showed up. Welcome, Barry. Thanks for joining in. We've done introductions. I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself, but as a part of the introductions, we were asking folks to give their name, what interests them of tiny houses, and what you do, what brought you here.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Barry Johnson, interdisciplinary artist, super stoked. More than anything, I've loved tiny house communities. I'm in school right now for architecture, so sustainable design is one of the fields of study that I'm in. So tiny house communities are of real importance to me, and I'm here to learn, and I'm just grateful for this opportunity. So thank y'all.
Thank you, Barry. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Barry, good to see you. Sorry.
Yeah. And congratulations, by the way, because I never got to say that to you earlier this year.
Hi. Yes, I want to meet up with everyone soon. But yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I guess I just want to give a little bit of feedback to you about all this. I really love the idea of volunteers, and we actually have on our website, it hasn't been launched yet just because I hadn't really looked at, we've been talking about volunteers, but we haven't really been talking about like in what capacity and how would it work and all this other stuff. And doing volunteer management is a pretty in-depth procedure. but I definitely think that there were two different ways that I had actually brainstormed this with Miss Jessie and with JJ. And one was either bringing an intern. So I'm having conversations currently with Bellevue College, their design department, and they are interested in providing us with an intern quarterly that could also possibly do hours at the Holly House. And then the other part of that conversation was actually like getting volunteers to come in and also help do stuff, you know. And I love it. Maybe this is the volunteer position, right? Where folks actually do hours at the Holly House and sit, and, you know, that for me is really, I love that idea. And I love the idea of providing sweat equity opportunities in exchange for a membership. I'm always down with sweat equity. So maybe that's something that we could work on before we actually launch next week, or not next week. I think it's, you know, 2 weeks. Miss Jessie, we can talk about maybe that at another time. One of the things that I do want to solidify though, before we get off of this Zoom, is the hours. And I actually think that the hours from 10 to 4 are very doable and reasonable. And then if there are events that are scheduled by members, then we would already have a heads up, right? So like if somebody actually needs to use it from 6 to 8, we would already know, and then we could like give heads up, okay, somebody's got to be there from 6 to 8, right? What do you guys think about that idea? Having the community hours is from 10 to 4, bam, Monday through Friday, and then the weekends. So for me, I really, really, really want JJ to have time off. Like, I don't think that he should have to work 7 days a week or be on call 7 days a week. That's my personal preference. I don't know how you feel about that, JJ, but and maybe it's not the weekend. Maybe the center is open from Wednesday to Sunday. I don't know. But what do you guys think about actual days? Like having him have 2 straight days off a week?
I think it sounds good.
Which part?
Weekends, but if like anything else needs to change, I guess we could switch it around later on in, but I think weekends would be fine.
I think if we do give them weekends off, and don't have meeting stuff, we could always do the Airbnb on the weekends.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Okay.
That way you doesn't have to worry about nothing, you know, and I'm still making, you know, still funding or not, but I think the weekends you should have them off.
Yeah. Well, and I was also thinking, like, I love the idea what Carolyn was just proposed around growing into the schedule. Like maybe this is our starting schedule and we try it out for a quarter and we see how it works. And then if it works really well and we're able to get more volunteers, we can grow the schedule as needed. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
That sounds good.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think pushing to be like, you know, moving at the sort of like pace of what we've got right now is a good idea, you know, and not trying to push more. You know, I know this from what we're doing too, like doing more than what we can handle right now, like that's just what leads to burnout.
Right.
So you know, and that's a perfectly reasonable weekly schedule, 10 to 4, you know, Monday through Friday. My only sort of thing there would be that, you know, a lot of people do work regular stuff. And it might be better to do like a Sunday through Thursday so that people can, you know, or something like that, where like there's one weekend day where people actually have time to come hang out. You know, if it's going to be a community space, that's only one thing to consider, is like people tend to have their weekends more free to be able, if it's to be more of community space, like, oh, we could go drop in and hang out and read a book and write on something because those are the hours. I don't know. That's just something to consider. I know, JJ, you're pretty flexible, but you know, I don't know much difference in our actual lives. I don't know much difference between Friday and Saturday and Saturday and Sunday, but for
Yeah.
some people that there is a difference there. You know what I mean? That's just something to think about, but I think it's a good plan to just start small.
Well, and we can also take suggestions. Like we could have like a comment box at the house, you know, like, is this working for you? Is the schedule working? You know, I mean, we could also get community input. It doesn't always, we don't actually, like, we could start with a bare bone structure, right? Like Monday through Friday. And then as it picks up, we could garner input from the community and see what the community wants, right? And once our Airbnb is actually up and running, the plan is that the Airbnb pays for itself. It pays for the whole house. It pays for the position. It pays for, you know, which hopefully in the long run, maybe would afford us to be able to actually have more than one Jesse, right? And not that the other Jesse would live there, but it would be, I guess that's kind of when I'm thinking about it, that's how I'm thinking about this in terms of like starting off with what we can do and then growing into it, but also including the community into that growth, right? So that we are not just like, okay, this is it and we're not flexible, and no, we're not going to say you cannot do that, right? But once we have some memberships, maybe garnering some information, Miss Jessie and I have been talking about doing surveys, but on other assets. But this could definitely be like wrapped into that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. What do you guys think about that? Like,
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think we should start with that and then survey the folks and let them tell us what they need.
yeah. Okay, awesome. And I see thumbs up by Carolyn. Thank you. I love the thumbs up. And always, you know, the thumbs up reminds me of Bart Simpson because it's like this yellow thumb. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. All right, so let's just do that. Sweet. So Miss Jessie, that's what the calendar is going to be. Awesome.
10 to 4, Monday through Friday. Gotcha.
Yep. And then the next thing that I wanted to actually talk about, or I thought we could like throw out there, is your updates around not just the scheduling, but other stuff that's going on in terms of programming.
Well, I think most of my week has been spent with the calendar, figuring out the calendar. There are 3 organizations that I'm working to bring on as members, hopefully getting them to sign a yearly membership. But if not, hopefully I can get them at least to sign a monthly membership with us. Let's see. I'm going to be honest. My whole concentration has been on that calendar. Yeah, but I will tell you about the calendar, the way that we've got it set up right now, that it can take, we can do memberships on the calendar, so people can do yearly or monthly memberships on the calendar, which is pretty cool. I'm also setting it up so that people can sponsor artist tiny homes on the calendar, because I know that's one of the things that that we're working on. I also have it so that we could sell the posters. Well, I think, you know, the t-shirts and posters from the Plague of Hope, I believe. I think it's called that. So there's a lot of different things that we can do with the app that we're working on for the calendar. So that's very interesting. So I'll probably be sending out links so people can test them and see what, you know, just how easy it is, and let me know how you feel about it and making it look a little bit better. But yeah, those are the same things. Sponsorship for artist tiny houses, donations, scheduling of the calendar, and event scheduling. So that's kind of what I've put into it, and being able to purchase like I said, stuff from us. So that's kind of what I've put into it right now. But that's my main focus where it's been so far.
Did you want to talk a little bit about the Airbnb model that we're working on at all?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about it and taking steps to add the Airbnb model, looking to let them know that it is an artist residence, an artist space, tiny house space. Just this conversation it looks like that we'll probably be able to do that on the weekends. And we still have to get that room ready. So that's still late. That's still, we have to get the place ready first. But that is a potential source of additional income. And I know that I've done that before. And, you know, depending on what's going on, we can control the calendar. So if there's other things going on, events or activities, we don't, you know, we can block it off so there will be no reservations. But if there is nothing going on that time, we can leave it open to get that additional revenue.
Right. And one of the things we also talked about in relationship to that is so I am actually working with S2 to find out how we can be licensed to go through that format, because we have a fiscal sponsor as opposed to having our own 501c3. So that's one hurdle that I've been working on, is trying to figure out, like, do we need to get our own license, or do we have to go through S2, or what is the actual city permitting and requirement, not permitting. I've had permitting on the brain for weeks, sorry. What is the actual city requirements around of starting just one Airbnb B&B in the city of Seattle? So that's also the other update around that. Yeah. That's about it. Other updates, concerns, information folks need to know about currently? Wow, you guys are also silent today. Okay, then.
One thing real quick that I'll just throw out there so I don't forget. But if we do some sort of community event in November around the house, we're going to start shooting yearbook photos for the 2021 Relevant Unknowns yearbook starting today. But then for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing it up at 206 Liminal, but also various other places. But it would probably be good to just keep that in mind, that we'll do that there as well.
Yeah, that
So,
would be really awesome. Do you actually have an event calendar yet for when you're going to be doing that?
not exactly. We're still getting all of our events in order.
Okay.
But when I do, we should have that this week, like all the places that we plan, because I know we'll be doing it like art walks, and we'll be doing it a couple of our ciphers on the block of Capitol Hill, but it'd be good to go and get some down in the other neighborhoods like we have the past years.
So I guess I just noticed that Matthew Richter has just joined us. Hello, Matthew. Thank you for chiming in.
Hey, Carol, sorry to be running
Nice
late.
to see you. Oh, no, that's okay. We've had people popping in and out. It's all good. And I'm recording it, so you'll get to see the first half of the session. So no worries. But one thing, if you could maybe just introduce yourself, Matthew, and why one of the questions for today was, what interests you about tiny houses?
Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Richter. I'm the Cultural Space Liaison in the City of Seattle's Office of Arts and Culture. I'm also the steward, sort of the launch of the Cultural Space Agency, which is a new public development authority dedicated to community wealth building through an anti-racist lens, using cultural space as a mechanism. And what attracts me to tiny spaces, tiny homes, tiny cultural spaces, tiny all of it, is the degree to which those spaces punch so far above their weight when it comes to the number of square feet and the impact that they can have on a community, and the impact that they can have on the people who inhabit those spaces. That you look at something like Escalida's Library, which we just completed in the Central District. It's a little 300 square foot box that has been as impactful, I think, to the neighborhood and to the cultural community as, the freaking Opera House, just in terms of the value of that asset in community. And so, yeah, for the much smaller financial input, for the much smaller footprint, for the much nimbler method of creating them, you get this this impact that really does pack a wallop. Anyway, sorry to go on, but sorry to show up late. Thanks everybody for having me. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Matthew. So Carolyn, the question that I was going to ask you was, with the yearbook at the end, when is the final, like, when do you plan to actually have that completed? Like or not the actual physical yearbook, but the actual interviews, where people show up, the events part of it.
We'll probably shoot yearbook photos through the end of the year. So we'll probably shoot them up to whatever's going on December, like we give ourselves the year, and then the goal is, if we can get it edited and out, we'll probably do a launch party February or March.
Okay. So the reason I asked that, pardon, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so the reason I asked that is because I think it would be really cool to have one of those events at the Holly House once the tiny house is up, or once it gets there, or after that event, or you know what I mean? Like if we could actually somehow coordinate it so that maybe even the photos are being taken inside of the tiny house, where I don't know, but kind of, because I showed up at the one that you guys did. It was the one in Pioneer Square, and folks were upstairs. Remember? Do you remember that? It was a couple years ago.
We did that
and people could it was like a scene you guys had created, and it was really cool how you did it. And so I was just thinking, wow, it'd be really cool to have like the tiny house actually be the backdrop or the scene for that event. What do you think about that?
I think it would be great. I think having them there, because then we could also, have a spread and a feature of the tiny houses on the property in the yearbook for next year, with information on how to get involved.
That would be dope. Yeah. And that way we could support each other too,
Yeah. And people seeing things like, we know more than anything that there's ideas and people who can grasp the ideas, but most people, like when they physically see some shit actually happen, like that's really when they start to get on board. When you take it from like this idea that we're just, like talking about, to like this is a physical reality.
Right. Well, and these houses won't be here until the middle of November. So that's why I was asking in terms of scheduling, because if we're going to schedule it, just know that in your head, that if we're going to do it at the Holly House, it's got to happen after that for us. So yeah.
Just whatever our projected, like have the houses up and built, even if not the interiors are finished, even if they're up, like that's a visual enough.
Yeah.
Really.
Right.
And especially if we have an idea at that point, who maybe those houses, like, I don't know if it's a lottery or how you're selecting, or how the choice is on who gets to begin the process of owning either of those houses. Like, it would be good to have an idea by that point. Like, I don't know what your process is on that, but at least maybe things are in the running. Now you can see the houses. Now we can see how that process is going or whatever. But yeah, for sure, whenever that is, as long as it's before the end of the year, we can schedule it whenever.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So we'll just tag team on that. Well, I know that they're physically going to be here either the first or second week in November. So anytime after that would be great. And it may actually even take us some time, because we may have to figure out like another part of our contract with you, in terms of, because it'd be cool to get a bunch of mentors to help and pay them to help us like put it up and build an actual other event around it, like I was talking about earlier, that's aside from the yearbook, but we can talk about that more once we get closer to that. We still have like a month and a half, so
yeah, I could definitely put a team together if we want to like have some people come out, put it up, help show how to put it up. Like we're probably all going to figure out how to put it up together.
Yeah, we are.
But I've definitely got a team of folks that like know how to put shit up. So,
well, and the thing is that it only takes like 2 people. That's what like I've been watching the videos, and they go up really fast, like 15-20 minutes. It takes like no time.
Which is great. And being able to like show others how to do that, like that's great. Yeah, that's great.
Awesome. Well, I think everybody's given all of their updates. I'm wondering if Matthew, do you have any updates for us around the Cultural Space Agency PDA stuff that you'd like to share with us?
I don't really today. Yeah, for next time around, I'm either as news develops, I'm happy to share it always, or if you want, you and I could connect and I can figure out what to share with folks that would be helpful.
Sounds great. Well, with that, you guys, this is a very short meeting today. Well, almost not very short, but 10 minutes early. I just want to say thank you again for showing up, and I will send out the link to the recording as soon as it's available and ready. And I will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody. Have a
Bye.
great week. Bye.
You too.